I should have brought my name tag down
Ah,
and put it around my neck, but that's okay.
all right. So, yep. Go ahead.
Okay, so I'm Genghis Khalid Muhammad, aka meaning also known as GKM. In many circles, that's what I'm known as, GKM. But I am Genghis Khalid Muhammad. The spelling of this name will be made clear in the documentary, in the filming. All right, so this is a documentary that is entitled Undomiciled Labyrinth. Now, for those that may not be familiar with these terminologies, especially with undomiciled, undomiciled means, it comes from the Latin word French, which means home. Uh, Domicile means home, but un, we know, means not or undone. So undomiciled means displacement, homelessness, and all in that category. Labyrinth comes from a Greek word, a Greek mythology, and it's a maze, and we're familiar with a maze. The maze is a bunch of, a lot of times we see bushes, and you try to get out and you can't find your way out. You think you're out this way and that way. So I entitled this as the Undomiciled Labyrinth because when you're homeless, it seems like you can never get out. And a lot of people don't get out. There's another story to this Greek labyrinth. The Minotaur, I hope I pronounced that Minotaur, but the Minotaur is a Greek mythology that they put into this labyrinth, which is a maze. He couldn't get out. He has the head of a bull and the tail of a bull, and the body of a human being, a man, they say. Eventually, they killed him because he had to eat and they didn't want to feed him. That's another story. But the thing is, the point of this is that with the homeless people, the homeless population, we find ourselves in this labyrinth. Many of us don't get out. We die in that labyrinth, that state of homelessness, trying to get out, trying to go to different agencies, different programs, etc., blah, 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 to get out of this labyrinth or this maze. We're displaced, we're homeless. Now, that's why I entitled this Undomiciled Labyrinth. Hopefully we're going to go to New York City and hopefully other places in the country and talk with people who are still in that labyrinth. You'll hear me use that word labyrinth. Let me see, because I want to spell it. I'm not a good speller at some of these words. It's spelled Labyrinthe, labyrinth. Or if you wanted to check out Undomiciled, it's spelled UNDOMICILED, Undomiciled Labyrinth. So that's what we want to do. We want to put some light on this matter. Now, me, I was homeless. I was undomiciled. I was in this labyrinth for approximately or a little more than 7 years. I was in this labyrinth in New York City, and pardon me for a minute. What caused me, what projected me into this state. Do like that, and I know. Okay, so this is what we're talking about, the undomiciled labyrinth. I really don't like to talk about how I became homeless in this episode of my life. It was around, well, actually, You could say 2007 is what triggered it. And prior to that, in 2005, my mother passed. She left. Then 2007, this is when the episode with my second wife and our son, her second son, and I was doing the music. You know, I had already produced one song, and on a triplets album type, and it was "Don't Be Toying with Me" was the title on it, and I was doing that, and we produced one song, and then I was working on producing another song, living in New York City, and while I was working on this song, I get this call. It was a little in the evening, yeah, it was in the evening time, and it's my wife. She's crying, and there's some other woman crying in the background. And she's crying, and she says, "They killed him. They killed him. They killed him." And I'll never forget that. Never forget it. Never. I said, what are you talking about? And and she mentioned it was our son. And so I immediately came out there where she was at. It was in New York City. And just to make a long story short on that particular part, it wasn't a pretty picture. It was a lot of, you know how it is in these type of situations with families or people that lose someone that's a loved one. There's trauma and drama. You go to the emotional stuff. So this was in 2007. We buried him. And then we was living in a pretty good part of New York. I don't want to name that part as of yet. Maybe in the next part I might. But my wife, she was really distraught. She every night, you know, she was coming and crying, and I had to console her, and then, you know, we had problems, you know, it really messed up the relationship. Was really on a real terrible term. I was informed just a little while ago that statistics have it that 97%, I believe, of people who experience this kind of thing, their relationships or their marriage doesn't last long after that. Well, I guess you could put us in that percentage because our marriage didn't last long. It was in the year 2008, Obama came in office, and at the end of the year 2008, in 2009, in the beginning of 2009, or, you know, my wife, she just said she just wanted to get some space, and the space led into other things to separation of divorce eventually, not right away, but we weren't together, and I wasn't able to handle the expenses of that apartment, so I had to give it up. They evicted me. And she tried to help me a little bit while I was trying to look for a spot. And then after that, she just left and went her way because I guess I remind her too much and everything, and she just wanted to get away. Well, that's what shot me into the state of homelessness that I never thought I'd be in. I was looking for an apartment, and there was a church in New York City that I was working with for a couple of months, and they said, "Oh, we got found a place for you." I was happy and everything. "You got to go on welfare." I said, "Okay, I'll go on welfare," even though I didn't want to. They said, "But it's a 3-tier." I said, "What's a 3-tier?" 3 people living together. Oh, that definitely is not going to work for me because I have a certain lifestyle. And to make a long story short, I just told them it never worked. So they said, "Okay." Then a month later, I'm still walking around in the streets. I'm homeless, not know where to go. Then a month later, they called me and they said, "We got a place for you." And I said, where? It's just for you. Only you got your own apartment. And they telling me it's in Florida. I don't know nothing about Florida. Then they telling me all these rules like it's a prison. You can't have company, you can't do this, and you can't. I'm not going to Florida to be in no prison and pay you at the same time. So that didn't work. Now I'm stuck because now there's no place. I'm walking around to find a place to get myself settled. And I'm walking around in the street, sleeping on trains, sleeping in the subway station, sleeping in Grand Central, sleeping in Times Square, sleeping in Coney Island Beach, sleeping in all the parks of New York City. And then I'm in Harlem, Manhattan. It was on 135th Street, I believe, is a church. And they was giving soup kitchens and breakfast. And I go to this church, and at this time they had some eggs, and I had some toast. I knew it wasn't pork because I don't eat pork. And coffee. Then this guy, Brandon King, he comes with another guy, sits down, and he says, he wants me to come to this meeting to an organization called Picture the Homeless. You see I'm wearing the shirt and I'm wearing the cap. And this was like in 2009, I believe. Yeah, because, so I says, listen, man, I'm eating right now. I don't want to hear nothing about no Picture the Homeless or whatever, because I had already went to all these other organizations, Coalition for the Homeless. They said they really couldn't do nothing for me. This one couldn't. I don't want to hear nothing about it. And he wouldn't stop. So I started cursing at him, because I thought if I cursed at him, because I'm not really a cursor every day, I cursed at him, he'll leave, and he's still sitting there, him and the other guy. So I tried to scare him, and it didn't work. So I said, listen, what do you want? Just come to me. I'll come. He said, give me your word. I said, yeah, you got my word. And it was on Tuesday, every Tuesday. So I went. It was in the Bronx. And then I listened to their stuff, and I wasn't really, I was convinced. This guy right here, his first name is John. He's a very smart guy. He's a very smart guy when it comes to the law. He knew the law very well. He impressed me. Then there was another guy, Gene Rice. Is this Gene Rice? Yeah, this is Gene Rice right here. See? And him and these two guys were the guys that impressed me in the Picture the Homeless organization. And I said, wow, these guys, they're on point, And so the next thing, they had a campaign that they was going down on 3rd Avenue in the Bronx to the Citibank. And they said, they want to go? I said, okay, I'll go. I'll see what's up. We went to the Citibank to protest the Citibank because the Citibank was responsible for having abandoned buildings that they wasn't letting homeless people get into. And they went in front of the Citibank with some other people, organizations, Picture the Homeless, and they shut the bank down. And the police was standing there, and the people didn't go, and they caused the bank to shut down and lose a day of business. And I said, wow, this is something. They shut the bank down. So I said, this is the organization. If they continue to do stuff like this, I want to be a part of this organization. So we went back, and I joined up in May. I think it was May 2000. I think it was somewhere around my birthday. My birthday is May 17th. So somewhere in that range, I think it might have been on the 10th, May 10th or something like that. And I joined up. I said, as long as you continue to do stuff like this, I'm with you. So I began to attend all the meetings for about 3 to 4 years, attending the meetings on Tuesday. I didn't miss no meetings, unless I was in the hospital, and there's another story to that, but I'll talk about that story And this, by the way, I want you to know this is part one. We're doing part one of the undomiciled labyrinth. And we're not going to try to do the whole thing because we're going to go out and we're going to go to Syracuse first and talk to the homeless people. And, and that's what we're going to do first before we go to New York City. But, you know, this is right here. You see the shirt. Picture the homeless. The cap. Picture the homeless. So I joined up, and when I joined up, the day I joined up, Brandon King and Sam Miller, he was the organizer in there, and Sam Miller, he was signing me up, and Brandon King said, "You are a lifetime member of Picture the Homeless." And Sam Miller said, "Do you know what you just said?" But he couldn't retract it because he already said it. So because of that, that's why I always say, and anything I do, I say I'm a lifetime member of Picture the Homeless because Brandon King said I was, and that's what I came in as. And I don't care. Right now, Picture the Homeless is not in operation. It's defunct for a lot of reasons. I tried to tell them that certain things that they were doing, that after Lynn Lewis left and resigned, the organization went down, poof. So I did these years on the street. I know what it's like to be homeless. I know what it's like for people to look at you funny and give you the funny feeling. I wasn't stinking. I always managed to stay clean because I got a card, you know, where I could go to the recreation centers where they had showers. I would go do a little workout, get a shower every day. I had a storage. I go change my clothes. So I was able to manage to do that, to stay clean. And but aside from that, that's all I was able to manage to do. Now you might ask, well, what about your family? What about your friends? What about this people? What about that? Well, first, I didn't want nobody to know that my wife and I was not together. And obviously, evidently, she didn't make it clear either. She kept it to herself, you know, because we just didn't want to do it. That was the first thing. Then the second thing, I was going around family, but I wasn't letting them know that I was homeless. They didn't know. I would stay at the house for like 3 days and then I'd leave, you know. They don't know. They didn't know that. I was doing that for like, I guess 3 years before they figured out I was homeless. You see? So the living nightmare begins. That's the living nightmare. Now I just want to say, prior to this, there was a situation that took place in my life, and this was in 1990. This situation took place in my life. I was working for this publication at the time this took place, Crossroads magazine in New York City. And so I put my article in there because I was working for them. And you see, I had a job. I was working for a security agency, and then I got laid off. I didn't get fired. They told me they was going to take me back. But I was laid off, and the guy, the landlord, he was telling me, "Oh, go on welfare." I didn't want to go on welfare. I applied for unemployment. And so to make a long story short, I was the only black person down in the basement living in that room that I had. This was prior to my actually being homeless. And that was, and remember we was talking about 2008, 2009. We'll get back to that. But this is 1990. And this guy had me locked up. Had some woman say I took $10 from her. And I never even seen the woman. But the funny thing about it is that particular night, when they made the setup, I was at my aunt's club. And then she took me home, and then she was saying, here, take this tea. I'm giving you $10. And I said, no, I don't need it. I'm getting unemployment. I'm good, you know. So she made me take the $10, kissed me, and I got out the car, went into my little room, had all my stuff in there, and I came out. And the next morning, I was cooking, and I'm telling you this for a reason. I remember what I was cooking: French toast and sausage, and I was preparing to have a cup of coffee. Two detectives come downstairs. Now that was last night. I came in, and now it's the morning. They say they're looking for Muhammad. Well, who's Muhammad? So I seen that they was detectives. So then they said, would you come upstairs? And then this black woman, she must have been a prostitute that they paid off or something. She said, oh, is this the one? Yeah, he's the one. He took my $10. What the heck? That's all I had in my pocket was $10. They took me as I was and locked me up. Anyway, to make a long story on that, when I came back, all my stuff was gone. And so why I'm mentioning this, and I went to the courts to try to do something about it, and I was fighting, and I lost all my stuff. I had brand new stuff in there. And I'm telling you this because it's all relevant. It's relevant to the fact that what some landlords would do, and they get away with it. And we can't allow that to happen. But I had to go, and there's another part to this that is very weird. I had to go stay with my aunt. We went to her place where she was at in Jamaica. And the next morning, her daughter, one of her other daughters came in. We were sleeping, said, you all know the house is on fire? And we got up and we ran out the house, got the dog out and everything. And we outside, and the minute we got out, whoop, the whole place goes up in flames. Now we're homeless. But I don't really consider that really being homeless because we wasn't really homeless for long. We were just a month in a hotel, and then we got placed. And then, that was it. So I wasn't homeless, really. I was good. But you could say it's kind of homeless, but I don't think it's homeless in comparison to what I went through for 7 years, not really having a place of my own, until I came here in Syracuse, because it was a place where affordable, low-income affordable, and for senior citizens. Anyway, we're going to talk about can you okay, let's go. Let's go. Yeah. Okay, so we have a lineup. We're not going to do all this in this filming, but we have a lineup, and we're going to talk about The Walking Dead. We're going to talk about The Walking Dead as people that's homeless that's actually walking dead. Because I was one of the Walking Dead. We're going to talk about Cooper Square, which is CLT, the Community Land Trust. And we're going to talk about the spark of $15 living wage, because we at Picture the Homeless was involved with that in Philadelphia, where they really started that $15 minimum wage. And we're going to talk about Occupy Wall Street, which we were a part of, and I was a very integral part of that. A lot of people don't know how it really started, but I was at all the people that started, how it started. We're going to talk about that. That's something they don't tell you in the news and all that, but I know because I was there. And we're going to talk about, I call it salvation at last, when I first came here in the building where I'm at now, and I've been living here for 11 years. But when I came, we're going to talk about how I felt about it. And we're going to talk about the B3 Tenants Association in this building. Some of the history, some of the dynamics of what I had to go through with this. We're going to talk about that, the positives, the negatives. We're going to talk about how COVID-19 came into the picture and interrupted a lot of things for everybody, but how it affected here and also the things that I was doing. And we're going to talk about the Syracuse Tennis Union, which after the COVID and after the Bishop Harrison 300 Tennis Association was dissolved because of internal internal things that was going on that was negative to try to stop this organization from functioning. And we're going to talk about 4547, your boy, Donald J. Trump. Oh, don't talk about him. But we're going to talk about him. You know, you say he might go to jail. He might go. Listen, I'm going to tell y'all something. I'm 77, right? So if they want to come and take me and put me to jail and I die in jail, you know, big deal. That's the power they have. They're powerless. That's all they can do. If they want to kill me, they still powerless. Because you only can kill me once. A coward dies 1,000 deaths, but a courageous person dies only once. So I'm not concerned with that. I'm 77. I've survived a lot of things. In fact, when we talk about The Walking Dead, we're going to see what I went through as The Walking Dead myself. So this was just more of an introduction to me. I joined up the Syracuse Tennis Union. Just give me a moment. Because I seen this about a few years ago. I forget, it was a few years because I've been working with the Syracuse Tennis Union for about at least 2 to 3 years. And this is Senator Rachel May. She had this in our building, and she had this in all the buildings. So on this here, I seen Syracuse Tennis Union. I called up the Greater Syracuse Tennis Network, and it was not no real great response. And this was the only one that I got a response. So the young lady that came down to meet me here, where I'm at now filming, we set up an appointment, and she talked, and I told her, listen, I don't want to be involved in no nonsense, no job time, turkey organizations. I don't have time for that, you know? And anyway, I've been struggling to deal with the Syracuse Tennis Union because there's things that I'm for and I'm not. We're going to talk about all this stuff. But this ain't the time that we're going to talk about it. This is the introduction. And we're going to talk about the longest night. Now, the longest night, I'm going to just give you a little taste of the longest night. The longest night is when you're out there every day walking around and nighttime comes, you want the night to be over because you're walking around and you're sleeping here and you don't want, and the night seems long, like it's never gonna, the daylight is never gonna come. That's because you're in that situation. You know, that's why you feel that way. But it's also dangerous out there. We're gonna talk about this longest night and where I got that terminology from. We're gonna talk about all these things. And we're gonna talk about a little more that we haven't mentioned. But we want to talk about housing, homelessness, starvation, and we're going to talk about tenants' rights, tenant protection, and tenant empowerment. But I want to highlight the Community Land Trust. That's in Cooper Square in New York City. And when we get the right kind of funding, we'll go to New York City, go there. I was there, and I got some filming on it. And I'm going to share it with the photographer, the one who's doing this filming, Mr. Franklin Thompson, and we're going to incorporate that because, you know, and show the filming of one of the people who was involved. So we're going to talk about all these things and some more, and we're going to talk about homeless, how it affects people, and people who are homeless. Here's the man that I used to be going around in the street with, one of my buddies, because you have buddies, Marcus Moore. We used to walk all down Times Square, all over the city. We walked all over, matter of fact, man, not this time. We walked all over the city all night, just talking about a lot of stuff. Just till the time to go away, because remember, it's the longest night, you know? And we just talked it away. Then sometime we sleep in abandoned buildings. I slept in abandoned buildings. I know what it's like. We're going to talk about all this stuff. This here is Frances Golden, which her and I, she's deceased now, but when she was alive, for some reason, her and I clicked when we met. I met her through Lynn Lewis, who was the director of Picture the Homeless. And every time I seen her, I was glad that we just lit up because we was happy to see. She was a trooper, you know. She's a Jew, I'm a Muslim, and we got along fine. And we was really good, man, I really liked Miss Frances Golden, you know. I really cared for her very much. She was up in age. She was a trooper. I mean, a real trooper. She was out there when anything, protests, whatever. She's chiefly responsible for a lot of stuff that happened with Cooper Square Community Land Trust in New York City. And where's that at? Midtown, no, little down by that, yeah, somewhere around there. But anyway, this is the things that we have. So, Mr. Thompson, do you have any questions you would like to shoot at me?
At the moment, I think this is great. It's a great first start, introduction to yourself and to the agenda for this documentary.
Yeah. So, we're going to talk about also, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No.
We're going to talk about, I like to keep it like on a real situation so we can feel this, not like the news and then you got to be, no, the real deal. This here is banking on vacancy, homelessness, and real estate speculation. Now, what this is, Christy, what's her name? Christy. Well, I'll get her name the next time. But she was the speaker, the one who was the speaker of the city council in New York City, and she was against the building count in the 5 boroughs: Brooklyn, Bronx, Manhattan, Queens, and Staten Island. And she was saying it would cost millions of dollars to do the building count. Well, we proved her wrong. We got the facts in here. We got the people that was in it. My name is in this book as well. We proved her wrong, shut her up, and she tried to run for mayor, and she didn't make mayor because we was making sure she didn't get to be mayor. And we proved her wrong. We made the building count. What building count? The vacant, abandoned buildings. And that's something that we need to do, we want to do.
Question, what is the building count? What is that?
The building count has to do with counting the vacant buildings and abandoned buildings that exist, like around here. How many buildings is vacant and abandoned in Syracuse, New York? We did the count in Brooklyn, Queens, Manhattan, Bronx, and Staten Island, and we said there are more buildings that are vacant that could house all the people that is at that time that was homeless in New York City. There was enough buildings to house, talking about the count, the vacant building, there was enough to house the homeless people. So why are the homeless people homeless? The same thing here in Syracuse, New York. I'm not a betting man, but if I were a betting man, I'm willing to bet you that there is enough vacant buildings in this city to house every person that's homeless in Syracuse, New York. I'm willing to bet you that. So why are the people walking around homeless and being subjected to these shelters that is dangerous? You know, it's a hellhole for a lot of people because gangs control it. And the city's not doing anything about it. And I hope that I'm not saying anything to hurt the next mayor coming up. But then I believe that once she gets in, she'll address this in a way that we can resolve it because she knows the community and she knows the people and they know her. And then we can resolve these problems without having to lock people up or anything else like what 45, 47 has in mind. So anyway, it's a very sensitive thing with me homeless, and I thank Mr. Franklin Thompson for doing this so we could put this out. But there's more that we want to do. This is just the start. This is just an introduction, okay? This is just an introduction. And just introducing myself to let you know that I was homeless, street homeless, and I was bouncing. When you go from house to house, family to family, or whatever, you bounce around. And one of the reasons why the family in New York City, especially anywhere else, but they had this ruling of the squatters' rights. So if you stay in a person's house past 30 days, you have squatters' rights, and they can't put you out. So this is why family now became, apprehensive and, well, you can only stay for 2 weeks. You got to go because they don't want you to claim squatters' rights. So this kind of situation creates and destroys the relationships of families. Now, Bloomberg here is saying, why don't the families take care of their family? I support him on that, but you can't make the family do it if they don't want to do it. They don't have to take you in, even though I think that families should, but that's where you got to reach their heart. So these are things that we have to work on. So that answers your question previously, and you're saying, why didn't you go to family? That's one of the reasons, because of the squatters' right, and they be scared, oh, you're going to stay, and they don't want to, now you put them in a bad position where they feel bad for they're putting you out, and they don't want to put you out, So I'm going to talk about my sister, not now, but in the next time we talk on the part, to finish this part up about the introduction. I'm going to tell you about my sister. She's a sweet person, a kind-hearted person, but I'm not going to talk about her right now, but how she tried to do things for me. So this is the introduction, and we're going to wrap it up for now because, we're on a time schedule, and this is to be continued. And this is the Undomiciled Labyrinth. This is to be continued. So you see I got the picture of the homeless cap, picture of the homeless shirt, and here's the book that we did something for the 15th year of Picture of the Homeless in operation. We're going to flip these pages and show people in these pages. Let me see if I can get Lynn Lewis real quick before we wrap it up. Yeah, here she is. Here's Lynn Lewis. Lynn Lewis is the director right there. She was the director of Picture of the Homeless. How you want me to do it? Yeah. That's Lynn Lewis. And these two guys here are the founders. That's Louis Higgins and Anthony Williams. Louis Higgins, he died on the train, homeless. Louis Higgins, he died on the train. Anthony Williams, he he's still alive, and you know, took pictures with him. I seen him. There's a story with him too, and but Lynn Lewis, she came in and she became the director. We're going to talk about all that in the next filming. So this is just the introduction, and this is part one of the Undomiciled Labyrinth, part one, to be continued. So I'm pretty sure you want to know what more has to be revealed. And when we go to New York City, first we're going to start here in Syracuse, and we go around and talk to people at Syracuse and people that's homeless and trying to do things for homeless, so forth and so forth and so forth. Okay, that's it for now. To be continued.
All right, that was good. Perfect.
Yeah.
So yeah, right. Whew. It's just.
So can I look at it? Can I see a
Yeah.
piece of it?
Yeah.
Well, let me go to the bathroom first. We got
Okay.
140.
Start breaking some of
Yeah,
this down.
143. We did good time.
Yeah.
So we
Great.
good time. Let me go to the bathroom first here. To the little